It's time to review Sonic R for the PlayStation 2. Released back in 1997 for the SEGA Saturn, Sonic R was the last Sonic game to be developed by Traveller's Tales after 3D Blast about a year prior, and was an attempt to bring Sonic into the racing genre while still respecting the core mechanics of the main series. For most people, it's considered a buggy, rushed game with rubbish controls that's only saved by its cheesy soundtrack. But is it really? Well, get ready for a race of a lifetime as we tackle Sonic R and find out for ourselves. Because Sonic R is a racing game, that means there is no actual plot because the writers were sick that week, and because of that, I shall attempt to come up with a plot of my own. After a terrible calamity that resulted in the survival of only 4 islands in a barren wasteland with few left behind to cater for it, our main cast deals with their post-apocalyptic depression in the only way that doesn't result in nihilistic partying, sex, and eventual suicide. Good, clean, wholesome racing for the Chaos Emeralds! As I've said about 100 times at this rate, Sonic R is a racing game in which you race against 4 other characters through obstacle course mazes of racetracks in order to get to first place. Since I'm playing this on the Gems collection on the PlayStation 2, the controls I'm going to describe come from that particular version. You move forward by tilting the left analog stick in that direction, brake by pulling back on it, and can turn by pushing it left or right, while pressing the X button allows you to jump with another press in the air activating that character's ability, such as Sonic's double jumping, Tails' flying, and Knuckles' gliding. At the beginning of the game, you'll only be able to play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and the motoring Amy, but can unlock more characters by playing through the game and finding all the secrets that lie within. These secrets are the Chaos Emeralds and Golden Medals, which can be found in hidden areas normally accessed by collecting enough rings scattered about the course for the gates hiding the secrets to open up and let you in. However, you must be quick about it because if you don't come in first place, you'll lose the emeralds and medals. Which would be fine if it weren't for the fact that collecting the emeralds is really quite unintuitive. In the first of Sonic R's faults, finding the emeralds is among the more prominent of them as they often ask you to grind to a complete halt while they go through the bother of exploding into place or having them appear from nowhere. Yes, in a game where you still need to be first in order to keep them, you have to wait for them to show up. And you know, it wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact that it's an enormous pain in the arse to control sometimes, since moving is done in the style of Tomb Raider-esque tank controls, meaning that if you take a wrong turn, you have to slowly turn to where you need to go, which can take vital, agonizing seconds off of your time. It works most of the time, yeah, but there's still this perpetual feeling of awkwardness when moving that never really goes away for the duration of the game. What's even worse is the inconsistent complexity of the level designs makes it rather difficult to get used to the controls since you'll have to deal with all manner of dead ends, right angle turns and so on as early as the second level, but can then cruise through the single rainbow figure 8 circuit that is the 5th and final racetrack. I don't mind having interesting level designs, especially in racing games as I'll get onto, but not when it's all over the place. Finally, as you may have gathered from that little remark about the rainbow circuit, the game is annoyingly short. With only 5 racetracks and very little else to do afterwards beside time trial and a number of forgettable multiplayer modes, it won't take very long to beat Sonic R, even when you do decide to search for the Chaos Emeralds and Golden Medals, and again, there isn't anything to do afterwards. Annoying as it is, when I finished the game, I pretty much gave it up shortly afterwards since I didn't enjoy it enough to keep me around. Does that mean it's a bad game? Not really, no. Well, not completely anyway. It's flawed, but there's quite a bit that I believe makes up for it in the end. To start with, the graphics for R are surprisingly good for their time. Considering it's based on a PC port of the game from the SEGA Saturn, a system notorious for its 3D being a nightmare to render for anyone outside of SEGA, the visuals hold up quite well thanks to decent character models, nicely rendered generic levels, and random weather effects that adds a sense of life to each of them. Speaking of the levels, I do have to give the level designs their due. Despite the irritating inconsistency, each racetrack is still overall well designed with a multitude of alternate routes to try out, brief platforming sections balanced out by speedy bits that recall the original Mega Drive classics, and cleverly inserted elements such as pinball courses, loop-de-loops, and so forth that are a unique take on the racing genre. In fact, the transition from platforming into racing itself is worthy of praise. Though the execution can be called into question by others, I'm hugely impressed at how Traveller's Tales managed to translate many of the series' mechanics into the gameplay without it feeling too awkward. The rings act as gateways to secret areas and allow you to get an extra boost of speed. The Chaos Emeralds serve as hidden collectibles, and the general level design reflects how speed was a reward for completing tricky puzzle platforming areas in the best of Sonic games. Added on to that is genuinely fun gameplay. Yes, the controls are a bit awkward and the AI is more predictable than my reviewing methods, but it's overall pretty good. The characters are varied with different abilities on offer to beat each level. It's fun to explore as much as you can, and trying to collect the Chaos Emeralds and still get their first place is really tense to the point where getting 2 on one go and winning is one incredibly satisfying experience. And of course, we cannot forget the best thing about Sonic R, its soundtrack. Yes, the lyrics are the cheesiest I've ever seen, even in the Sonic series, and have nothing to do with the actual game. But the fact that Richard Jacques and TJ Davis managed to take techno dance music, a genre I normally despise, incredibly fun to listen to thanks to passionate vocals, awesome backing instrumentals, and incredibly catchy songs is one of the most impressive things I've ever seen any music composer pull off. There's a reason why the music is the most iconic thing about R, it's just fantastic. In the end, Sonic R is actually a bit better than most give it credit for. With decent graphics for the time, nicely varied level designs to keep your brain thinking, well-translated mechanics for the classic platformers, fun gameplay, and brilliantly cheesy music. However, it does deserve criticism thanks to its rather awkward controls, inconsistent difficulty, unintuitive emerald collecting problems, and generally short length. Nevertheless, if you do want to try out a Sonic racing game besides the Sega All-Stars duo, something a bit different from the norm, or a game with an amazingly hammy soundtrack, there are much worse games to get than Sonic R. Give it a shot and see what you think. As for me, I'll give it a rating of pretty good. What it says on the tin really, not completely spectacular, but still fun nonetheless. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go and sit back and see how long I have to wait before someone brings up that Tails all creepypasta thing whatever going around. If anything, this will probably encourage them to show up right about now? Must have been wrong for